Let's rock and roll.
Diddle, diddle, diddle.
Right. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2. Right, we are live. Let the viewers just build up. Before I run the intro, let the viewers just build up. And then you get the link out on Instagram. Good evening, all. Good evening to those who are just tuning in. Good evening. We shall start shortly. Just get a few of these little tech issues out of the way. Where are we? Where are we? Bear with us. Bear with us. We are almost there, peeps. Yeah. Let's just get it on Instagram.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba.
Let's get time.
Are we on? Are we in the room?
Well,
Is
we
the
are.
world
We live, yeah. We live, yeah. We got one viewer watching right now, 1 or 2 clicking in. It's 8 o'clock. Let it just warm up. 1 second.
Okay, no. Warm up, that's a good use of, yeah. This after the weather we've had this week, yeah, warm up indeed.
What is the temperature where you're at? Because it was cool here in the morning.
This morning it was very well. It was cool, obviously, in comparison to the last week or so. Here this morning, first thing, it was about 17, 16, something like that. Then as the day went on, it went up to about 22-ish, 23-ish. Not yesterday. It was in the 30s. It was madness. Today it's just been kind of okay all day. To be fair, it's just been quite pleasant all day.
Oh, it's been lovely. It's been lovely. It is hot, though. I must admit, it is hot.
It is hot, but I don't care. I like it. I quite like it. You know.
No, the problem is right. The problem with the heat is right. Like when I say hot, look, if it was 18 to 22, great. It's practical, functional. You can work in it, drive around. Ain't gonna kill you. The problem is when we're getting into the late 20s, early 30s sort of degrees. Forget working. If you're just laying in the garden, laid up, great. If you ain't got to do nothing, it's great. If you got to work, then we got a problem, and this is where the trouble is. So I got to say, as much as I like the heat, I don't know, man. I'm a little bit. I'm not too sure, man. I don't know.
No,
right.
That's the thing. The issue is, you're exactly right. The issue is we are working in it. You know, we are at work. So, you know, if we were in the Caribbean, we couldn't care less if it was 34 degrees because we're in the Caribbean and we're lounging by the side of a pool. But yeah, because I mean, many years ago, I lived in Singapore many years ago, and there it's obviously hot. But I worked there, so I was working. So people, you know, when I say to people, "Oh, I lived in Singapore," oh, it must have been fantastic. Well, no, because you were working.
How long were you out there for then?
Well, I've been twice to Singapore. I was there as a child with my dad, bless him. And then I went back out as an adult for a few months working on a project for a company I worked for at the time. So
nice. Talking about dads, my dad's not well, so guys, please pray for my dad. He's constantly got issues and that. So just spare a thought and a prayer for him.
Absolutely.
Let's get this show on the road.
All the love to your dad. All the love.
Right. Good evening, guys. Welcome to another episode on Disqualified Dads. Actually, correct me if I'm wrong. This is episode 50. You know, I've lost count. Is it 53? 53, I think, which I'll sort out. It's 53, yeah. I need to polish up on the old titles and numbers and whatnot, so I better jump on that during the stream. So, yes, welcome to episode 53, live stream every Sunday, 8 p.m. We are here to help support you through the meat grinder that is a family core. And week by week, we are trying to help you to get closer to your children and survive the system. Now, I'm joined by my co-host, none other than Measham's finest, the best Mackenzie in the game. Barristers are scared of him. Judges are scared of him. Family law solicitors hate him. They absolutely hate him. But guess what? All the fathers out there, they love him. As fathers, we love him. He's like a father to us. He is supporting us through the system. None other than Mr. Ryan, Dan the man, that family law guy. Mr. Ryan.
Howdy do. Another Sunday night. They seem to come around awfully quick. But yes, another Sunday night. It's been hot out there, guys, this week. Wherever you've been in the country, it has been hot. And some of us will like that, and some of us won't. But there we go. We are where we are. Apparently, it's going to get cool for a couple of days, and then I'm told it's going to come back. So,
good.
We should brace ourselves for the fact that the sun is going to come back again. It's been a bit cooler today, but then it is coming back.
Right. So, I've just had a message from a viewer. He's WhatsApped me and said he's on. Listen, bro, good to see you. Welcome aboard.
Indeed.
Yes, carry on, Mr. Wright. Apologies.
No, I'm fine. Yeah, so welcome all this evening on this, what are we, Sunday the 13th of July, 2025. We're already well over halfway through the year. That's quite frightening.
That's scary.
Yeah, that is scary, that we are, 5 minutes away from 2026, which is really, just wishing our life away. But there we go. That's where we are.
Christmas is around the corner.
Well, Christmas and Diwali, and obviously Eid's been and gone. So yeah, it's all going on out there. Okay, so where are we? So this week we flagged up on the thumbnail that you may or may not have seen that we were going to talk about whether court orders are always child focused. Now we're doing this little 5-minute chin wag at the start of these streams before we launch into the questions. So, in my view, are court orders always child focused? Well, the short answer is no. They're supposed to be. There we go. Right. I'll defend the court. I'll defend the court by saying they're supposed to be, but then I'll say in reality they're not. There are too many examples of court orders which have actually been designed to facilitate the parents rather than the children. They've been designed to try and solve a problem between the parents rather than actually do what is best for the children. And I understand why. I understand why the court sometimes is driven to have to do that. But it does kind of undermine the objective of, let's be child focused, in terms of what they do. And as I was saying the other week, and I'm going to say it again now, one of my biggest issues with court orders is where they are designed with a very clear favouring of one parent. There is very clearly a primary parent on a court order, and there is very clearly a secondary parent on a court order. And that's still the case. And despite the fact that we live theoretically in a modern society, and we live theoretically in a situation where we're all equal, blah blah blah. It is still the case that there are winners. There are winners and there are the others when it comes to family court orders. And the wording that upsets me more than any other is wording that revolves around. And I'm going to use the father as example. The father will have contact with the child, which does not disrupt the child's normal routine. Father can see the child at the weekend, providing it does not disrupt the child's normal routine. He can see the child in the week, providing it does not disrupt the child's normal routine. And the issue that gives me is fairly fundamental, which is, at which point did the father become outside the child's normal routine? At which point did the father become an inconvenience that we have to find space inside the normal routine of the child? Why is it that the father in that particular court order, and lots of court orders like it, why is it that father is not part of the child's normal routine? Because he's dad. He should be part of the child's routine.
I thought so, yeah. Right.
Yeah, so it's difficult. So is there child focus in court orders? No. They would like there to be, but in reality, for 1,000 different reasons, there's not. Some of them are obscenely one-sided, in my view. We are where we are.
Absolutely. And I think I just want to touch on that because the thing is, right, see, everything you mentioned, everything you sort of highlighted about, father being the father, why is he treated like a secondary parent, or why does treat one parent like a secondary parent and one a primary parent, and that whole situation. Now, I know a lot of the viewers can resonate with what I'm about to say. Thing is, Mr. Rice, some of us were already secondary parents. We were just caretakers, cash machines, punch bag, whatever you want to call it. We were always the secondary during these children's life. And remember this, now this is where we have to understand when you're dealing with narcissists, ultimately. So look, let's not put the genders aside for a second. When you're dealing with personality disorders and narcissists, they want control. Now, I'm talking from my own experience and the experience of many that I have spoken with, yeah, many that I've spoken to. Even when they were living with their children prior to entering the family court system, this is prior to the family court system. And the reason they split up is because they were treated like secondary parents to their children. When they had no influence over their children's life, when they had no input, when their extended family was denied contact with their own children, grandparents, uncles, and aunts were denied contact, that is what led eventually to a breakup of a lot of these relationships, this overbearing, suffocating control. And I'll give one small example. When my kids were small, I was about to pop out and I thought, let me just take the little one out with me. It's bad timing, babe. It's just about to have their dinner. Following day or the following occasion, next time I'm about to pop, you don't see it always. Oh, it's their bath time. It's shower time. It's book reading time. It was I'm talking every excuse under the sun. Oh, it's too hot for them to go out now. Oh, it's too cold for them to go out now. Oh, it's a relative that came to your mum's house, your mum's friend's cousin's brother's sister who popped round the other day had a cold. There may be some germs lurking around and the kids might catch it. Let's not take it to their grandma. I mean, everything you can imagine. And after a while, you start seeing a pattern. And this is what I'm saying, Mr. Ryan. Some of us have always been secondary parents. We don't know any different. We have always been secondary parents in these children's life. And this is what this fight was all about, was that at least we thought when we split up, we'll enter the family court, who's apparently we had this illusion of the fact that it is child focused and that I'll have my time with my children to bond with them as I see fit, as I please, and have some influence in their life. And then we obviously realize the system's not what we thought it was. It's worse than it's worse than what we thought it was. So unfortunately, here we are, baby. Here we are. Before we carry on, guys, I just want to put a little disclaimer out there. I have people emailing me, slagging myself off, slagging Mr. Ryan off, saying he's lying and this and that, and Kafkas are like this. And look, we know. First, I just want to highlight Mr. Ryan works on the front line in the family courts, representing me, you, and multiple other fathers, 80, 90% clientele, potentially mostly fathers. Now, if we sit here, slag the system off, if we just talk and repeat negativity about things we all know, we're all aware of, by repeating that, this just puts him in a position where he's going to be pulled up in family court. He cannot then represent and help the people we are trying to help. So, and like I said, a lot of fathers groups, they sit there, slag off this and that. We're not here to just focus on the negativity. This ain't a place where you just moan and bitch. This is a place where we give you tangible steps to help get through this. And once you get through this, we try and give you tangible steps to improve yourself and your life and elevate yourself in every way. And like I said, a few cases we have dealt with, like I said, we've talked about on a few followers, they have been reunited, they've got contact with their children. That is the goal. Remember, eyes on the prize. So, yeah, I just want to put that disclaimer out there before we continue. Mr. Ryan, anything you want to add?
No, it's exactly that. It would be incredibly easy just to sit and moan and bemoan the family court system. It is what it is. We've got a system. We've got to work with it. And whilst myself and Farouk could sit here and just moan and bitch about it, that's not going to achieve anything. So the purpose of us doing these sessions, these clinics, these streams, is in order that I can give you, and Farouk can give you a little bit of insight as to how you might assist yourself and make life better. The court's terrible. The court is terrible. The court knows it's terrible. But that's all we've got.
Yes, we have to work with what we have in order to try and re-establish a bond with our children, because that's the bottom line here. The bottom line is get contact as soon as possible. We'll try every step, every avenue, everything that is what we can possibly do. Because at the end of it all, you have to look yourself in the mirror and know you did everything for your children. It's as simple as. There was something else. Right, I've got a question, Mr. Rank, before we start, right, yeah?
Yes.
So, we've got a regular viewer who I spoke with this week. He's got a slight problem. Right, here we go. I might as well jump. I was going to bring it up anyway, so let me bring his question straight on. Right, so Mr. H. Right, so Mr. H has said, and I'll give you the context around all of this, right, yeah? But let me read this comment out directly first. I've been notified by a mother's relative that she has been leaving my children in the care of a 14-year-old in the evening and nights. I understand the 14-year-old is capable of looking after the kids, but the issue is the 14-year-old, if something was to happen, if there was an emergency in the house, for example, if there was a fire, she will be able to get the kids out, this, that, and X, Y, and Z. Now, just put context around it. This incident, I don't want to get caught out, so let's take comments. Now, this incident has been he's been made aware of this situation that happened 2 months ago. Now, before we continue, understand this, Mr. Ryan. There's no facts, there's no evidence. He has heard this from someone in close proximity to the children that this has been going on. No evidence, no fact, it's just someone's told him. Now, he's got 1 month before his final hearing. He has spoken to social services. Social services saying, yes, we need to want us to action it. We have to do a visit and a safeguarding call and whatever they need to do there. The problem then is when he goes for his final hearing in a month's time. Now, considering, like I said, this is hearsay. We don't have evidence. It happened 2 months ago. Blah blah blah. He's got 1 month to go before the final hearing. His solicitor said to him, "We can bring this up, but they're going to say you're trying to be." The judge is saying you're trying to be malicious and sabotage. And I'm saying, okay, let's say mother admits to all of this and say, I did this, yes, I left them one evening, so what? What can they do? What can social? Nothing's going to change. My point is, again, this is what I've already discussed with him. What is there to achieve by doing this? Yes, you found out you're upset. If there's a fire, my argument with this whole fire argument, and this is what social services said to him, if there's a fire, what's she going to do? Blah, blah, blah. It all sounds very serious here, but listen, I'm not being funny. There's a fire, like the whole thing's coming down. What's an adult going to do? Like, what can anyone do? You can walk out the street, get run over by a bus tomorrow. I mean, do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, if we go into the what ifs, let's say mother admitted this. Firstly, what is there to achieve? Does it help your case? Will it help you in the final hearing? Does it give you any position, power, or leverage over your current situation? Or will it only sabotage your final hearing further? Now, tell me you understand what I'm saying, and then let's try and address this.
Okay, yes, I know what's going on. All right. I'm kind of with you on this, that given that it took place a while ago, given that we have no solid advice on it apart from hearsay, given that we do not know whether this is a regular occurrence, whether it's still going on, whether tonight, it's Sunday night now, whether those children are currently in the care of a 14-year-old child. Because we don't know all those things, to raise it separately prior to the final hearing, I think will not be viewed very kindly by the court. However, I think it's perfectly valid to raise it in the final hearing should opportunity arise when we are discussing the care of the children, when we're discussing why is it that mum, I presume mum's working, which is why she's had to pull somebody in to look after the children. And it happens. We work and stuff happens.
No, when my mother's going out middle of the night, it's like overnight, middle of the night to go. From my understanding, I don't think she does night shift, but
okay.
Like,
if the children have been left overnight in the care of a 14-year-old, aside from the fact that is against the law, because the 14-year-old is not old enough to have children in their care, it's also a safeguarding issue. That lends itself towards all those things that we've just raised. What happens if something happens in the night? What happens if one of the children falls ill? What does that 14-year-old do? They can't drive. They may have the wherewithal to ring an ambulance, but then what do they do? What happens if the house sets on fire? So the whole sort of what happens, and we trust that none of those do happen, but there is still the reality that they might, because we live in that world where stuff happens. There was a fire today at Stansted, I think it was, Stansted Airport. So stuff happens. So I think it is one to raise at the final hearing, should opportunity arise.
So bring it up, yeah. So in the hearing, if there's an opportunity to get that across without coming across malicious, without just saying, so see, what I was thinking is if you can frame it in the way that we understand that mum has a social life and we understand that she's been struggling, hence she's been roping her 14-year-old niece or nephew, whatever, to come and babysit. This will help eradicate that. If he presents it like that, as in like he's trying to help out because he knows she's struggling, for argument's sake, it won't come across malicious. So I'm saying he just needs to deliver it, but get it out at the final hearing and see if that lends him some favor or if it leans in his favor. Let me see, he's put a comment on there. All right. Only proof I have is my kids was not brought to contact yesterday. However, on my YouTube Premium history, I can see mother's been listening to music all night till 6 a.m. and no reason given for no contact. So look, we know she's not been doing the, he's meant to be having his weekly contact or whatever. We know she's not been turning up to that. Like we said, he's got a final hearing due. We've just told him to just hold tight, just keep building the evidence. And again, can he just bring all of this out at the final hearing?
Yeah. Final hearing can be a bit of a bun fight. So if the opportunity arises to bring this matter out, and as I say, as you pointed out a minute ago, Farooq, you can bring it out actually in a very positive way. You can say, it is my understanding that possibly mother has been struggling with childcare, and I understand that pressure, and I believe that possibly she's had to find herself leaving the children in the care of a minor.
Minor, that's the word.
And that concerns me.
Minor.
That concerns me, and I'm sure the mother would not want that to happen if she had an alternative option. Hello, my name's Dad. I'm the alternative option.
Perfect. Yeah, I think Mr. H, we already discussed it. This is more or less, I think, what we discussed. It's on point again, but like Mr. Ryan confirmed, fire these shots at that final ring. I think leave it all in the ring at that final ring. That's the only place that can grant you favor. Anything before that, it's only a month away. Don't let it disrupt your rhythm. And this is what I keep saying. When you first hear this as a parent, as a father, your child, you're a 14-year-old, what if this happened? The paranoia kicks in, you get worried. It's an emotional reaction. You want to fire a shot back, you want to call social services, you want to report, you want to do all these things, you want to react. You've got to step away, remember the strategy. What will this achieve? What will I get out of this? We know how much power or how little power they really have against, unfortunately, the resident parent, absolutely mother, that nothing's going to happen. Give her a slap on the wrist, move along, and then it's already disrupted what you're going to do at your final hearing. So again, what am I going to get? Everything you do, every step you take, you've got to look at what is the end goal? What am I getting out of this? What will this give me? Then you work back from that. You work back from that position. What will this give me? And work back. So yeah, good luck with that, Mr. H. Let's see if he's got any more comments. No, he's got a comment. Yeah, listen, Mr. H, it's a tough old road. Again, you've got 1 month to go. Stay focused. 10 Commandments of Family Court. Eyes on the prize. Eyes on the prize. We don't even want to fire a shot back at mother. We just want contact with the kids. This is where people need to understand. When I say fire shots back sometimes, they're not aimed really at the mother. They're aimed at the situation so that you can get contact. Do not blur the lines. Yeah, it'd be nice to get one over the X, 100%. It'd be nice to wipe the smile off her face, or, her being smug in court. It'd be nice. I get it. But that is not the end goal. The key is your children. Eyes on the prize. The rules that I've come up with, the 10 Commandments, they're very simple. Everything comes back to this. Right, let's move along. Apologies, I'm getting excited. Right, Mr. Am, my next hearing is in. People got hearings in 4 weeks, mate. I'm waiting 2 years. These people got hearings coming out the woodwork. My next hearing is in 4 weeks. The court ordered me and mother to send allegations. Mum has strategically delayed with excuses. I fear another delay will cost me 3 months. What will the court likely decide?
Right, so we've had this before. So another week has gone past for this guy, and we are still waiting for a schedule of allegations. I presume my advice last week, it's been 7 days, so I might forget, but I presume my advice last week was for your legal team should be banging on the door of them and also alerting the courts to the fact that you haven't had these allegations and raising with the court that this is now a significant compliance issue. That's what I would be doing. That communication is more for the benefit of the court than it is for the benefit of the other side. They're clearly delaying deliberately. You want to ensure that the court is aware. What will happen is if mother continues and doesn't provide the allegations at all, when you get to the next hearing, as I say, which you tell me is in 4 weeks' time, the judge has two options. Option one, well, we're going to need to delay this matter because mother hasn't done it, blah, blah, blah. But if you can demonstrate that you have asked about it on numerous occasions in the in-between and received essentially radio silence, no replies, that will assist the court in moving away from that stance and taking an alternative stance, which is mother is clearly deliberately not providing these allegations. Consequently, this court can rule that if there are no allegations put forward, that means nothing has happened here, which means both of these parents must now be treated equally, and we move forward to a welfare determination, i.e. deciding what happens with these children, because there are no allegations. If there are no allegations, there are no findings. If there are no findings, nobody is at fault. Both parents are equal.
Sorry, I was on mute. Apologies. Yeah. Before, yeah, I flipped it. I'm on mute because I'm worried about the fan disturbing the noise. So making noise. So yes, I'll keep going on mute. I must turn the fan off.
Just tell your fan to keep the noise down, to keep a voice down in the background.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, what I'm saying is, you occasionally your lines sort of getting blurred. Yeah. And you got cut off before you said the judge will treat both parties equally or fairly. You sort of got cut off. 10, 15 seconds before that. So just cover that last 30 seconds again, please.
Okay, so if we arrive at the next hearing and you still have no allegations, the judge can take the fairly pragmatic view that if there are no allegations, it's because mother doesn't wish to submit any. That being the case, if there are no allegations, there are no findings. If there are no findings, nobody is at fault, which means both parents must then be treated equally. And whatever happens with the children is based on the fact that both parents are equal. So in some regards, having no allegations potentially might be a good thing for you if your legal team push hard on, there's no allegations, clearly mother doesn't wish to file any, let's move this matter on.
Okay, so perfect. That basically you can use this to your favour. So at the next hearing, mother ain't submitting any allegations. You just say clearly there is no allegation. He's struggling to think of some because they just never happened. Can we move along now, Judge? So push that angle. Get your legal team to fight for that. Very good strategy. Never thought of that. Never thought of that. Yeah, nice one. Okay. Right, let's move along. We're doing well tonight. Feeling good. Mr. M, can I ask a question about finances? Well, yeah, that's why we're here, bro. This is the live stream. Weekly live family court Q&A. This is the whole reason why we're here, brother. Send your question in. Come on. Someone tell him. Get with the program. Right, Mr. Abu. Listen, bro, is that the Joker? That picture? You see that? The Joker, yeah. I love it. During the court process, like I said, this guy has adopted the court mentality. It's a circus. So you go dressed as the Joker, the clown. Perfect. During the court process, it's expected the other will fill the kids with nonsense in their heads. This is damaging to the kids. Is it still worth fighting? Yes. So look, this is what we do, Mr. Abu. Tell us how old your kids are. tell us how long you've been separated from your children, or when your relationship, or give us some more details and context. But the simple answer is, you tell me, are your kids worth fighting for? Are
Simple as
your
that.
kids worth fighting for? Let me ask you a question, Abu. Are your children worth you giving it your all to rekindle that bond and protect them? So if you know this nonsense in their head is damaging the kids, as a father, is it not your job to try and protect them, regardless if they're being taught to hate you? Even if they hate you, does that mean you won't still try to protect them in the meantime? You won't try your best? Are you telling me you do think it's worth it? Are your children worth it? You tell me. Now give us some context. Right, we've covered that. Oh, here we go. Right. Right. Mr. M has got the memo that we are here to answer questions. So here we go.
Off we go.
Once divorced, how far can your ex claim your finances, savings, have one child, and a short marriage, as in 2 years in the UK civil marriage? Oh no, ex came to the UK December 2020. December 2022, child was born. December 22, she runs away. Bloody hell, man. See, this is what I'm saying, guys. This getting these wives from abroad ain't what it used to be. Getting these women from abroad just ain't what it used to be, guys. Nowadays, if you want a woman from abroad, go to the Philippines, bro. Philippines, like, mate, I see them, brother. I see these guys with these women from the Philippines. They're happy, man. India, Pakistan's gone, man. They're corrupt. They're gone. They're really corrupted. Forget that. Forget these places. But yes, this is a good question. And I just want to highlight before Mr. Ryan continues, we're going to do a live stream at some point where we'll try and cover finances, because I think with finances, there's such a variation of ideas out there. I just want to try and do one stream where we try and streamline and give you a basic idea of how finances are going to be, depending on what your situation is. So we're going to cover that at some point in more detail. But in the meantime, Mr. Ryan, this is a great question. Go on.
Okay, well, very simply, and it is very simple. It doesn't matter if you were married for 5 minutes or 55 years. When it comes to family court, your wife, ex-wife now, is entitled to begin financial proceedings against you and pursue you for whatever it is that you have. So it's going to be potentially, well, depending on how much you have, obviously, it's going to be, potentially difficult. I can be more specific if you want, about your specific case. If you want to email me and ask me the questions, I can look at it more directly. But as a general rule, as a general response to this, can she claim have a little stab at your finances? Yes, she can, because you were married. So by virtue of that, there is a number of matrimonial assets that are up for division. The fact that she arrived in the UK in 2020 and disappeared in 2022, I presume she arrived on a spousal visa. I presume she's now disappeared and managed to get herself ILR. And those of us who are in the know will know that that's indefinite leave to remain. I assume she's pursued that, been granted that because it's almost automatic. And now she's living the life of Riley. But as Farouk says, and I'm not looking to be judgmental, but unfortunately, the bride you bring in from abroad, be that from the Middle East, be that from the Far East, be that from wherever, be that from South America, because I have the same issue in another case with the South American bride. It's not an attractive offer anymore. Unfortunately, the attractive party in those relationships is not you. The attractive party, it is what you have around you, what is attractive, and it is what that you have access to that is attractive. And spousal visa is a short step to indefinite leave to remain, and indefinite leave to remain is a short step to a quick shout of abuse on your way past, free housing, and a very nice life in comparison to life elsewhere in the world. And I'm not looking to judge. So be aware.
Yes. Also, I just want to add just a quick question on that. So, I just want to clarify. The fact that it's a short marriage, 2 years, yeah. If I if I remember correctly, anything below 5 years was classed as a short marriage. Hence, it limits a certain amount of rights or claims or the finances. Or is it the fact that he's got a kid that then complicates, strengthens her position? And because again, it's 2 years. Or is it the fact that she's from abroad, she's got no one here, she's done a run, she's got a definite, she's leave to remain. But the fact that does that then add more to it? Because I know people with short marriages under 2 years, and the judge said, "Well, look, all of these assets you had all of this well before you guys got married, and you didn't build anything together." So he's taken them off. Or is that judge's discretion again? Like a lot of these things.
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of judges' discretion in financial matters. There is a huge amount of judges' discretion as to how they want to treat assets. Fortunately, the piece of case law I think I mentioned last week, Standish and Standish, which has just gone through the High Court, has clarified what items can be classed as non-matrimonial assets, i.e. assets that you had before you were married. So if, for argument's sake, you owned, let me think of an example. If, for argument's sake, you owned a house in East London, and then you brought somebody into that house, and then you married the girl in that house, and then ultimately you split up. That house in East London is a pre-marital asset and is protected. And so that house in East London, in the event of a financial challenge, that house will be protected because the court will deem the fact that that house was around before the wife was around. So I use that East London house as an example. So anybody who's got a house in East London that they owned before they possibly met a partner, brought her into the house, had children, and then the relationship broke down, they should know that their house, as a result of Standish versus Standish, is ring-fenced.
Listen, Standish versus Standish, I'm giving him a salute. We owe you, brother. Mr. Standish. Wherever you are, we owe you. We respect you. Thank you for doing this. You've given us something, Mr. Standish.
We're going to spend our next super chat on Mr. Standish.
Yes, he's a millionaire. He's still a millionaire. So, Mr. Standish, we need sponsors. We need support and sponsorship. So get behind the screen, Mr. Standish. Send me some of those dollars. I ain't going to say no. I'll take it. If anyone wants to send me money, I'll take it. And I just want to say, I've got a little joke that I want to tell you guys. See, I've got a lawyer friend, and she's been watching the stream now. And she just turned around and said to me, Mr. Rance, be ready for this show. You might fall off your chair. She's heard this last question about the finances, and this is what I'm saying. Listen to what she's written. Starting point is always 50-50. Like, what planet is she on? Like, again, textbook lawyer. Yeah, textbook lawyer. Especially when you're watching, we're laughing at you. This whole stream is laughing at you. So now a textbook lawyer wants to teach me about family court, wants to teach me about all of these issues around all of this because she's done a couple of years dealing with a couple of non-moles or something as a trainee or whatever when she was a lawyer. So listen, back up, love. We know what we're doing, yeah? Just chill. We're professional. We know what we're doing. We lawyers like you for breakfast. Now, she'll be all right. She'll get it.
Yeah, so there we go, Mohammed. But as I say, more on a serious note, Mohammed, if you do want to email me, and I can give you something that's a bit more specific, because we tend to avoid very specific responses on this on the channel because it's obviously a private matter. If you want to email me, you're welcome to do so. Farouk will stick my email in the chat.
Yes, I will stick his email on there very shortly as he's answering the next question. But do me a favor, Mr. M, just like I said, just send Mr. Ryan an email, have a one-to-one chat. I don't know if you've got a legal team or not. To be fair, we don't actually advertise any services, anything like that here. But if you want support and help, get on board. Mr. Ryan and the whole team can get behind you. We can support you. If you've got no representation, if you have got solicitors, barristers, you don't need to waste that money. Come with us. You'll save bucket loads. If you're dealing with finances, listen, you're going to need every bit of money you can get. We're going to save you shitloads. So get on board. Right, let's move along. Right, Mr. S. Mum seems to know everything about my police proceedings, I presume. Sometimes even more than me. How is this possible? Does
Very
the
simply,
police speak to them all the time?
it's not that the police speak to them all the time, but very simply, they are the victim, and the police have an obligation to keep the victim updated as to what's happening with the inquiry, because the victim is the vulnerable one. So they do provide, depending on which police force it is, some are very good at it, some are absolutely appalling at it, but they do provide an open channel to the victim to allow them to get regular updates.
Yeah, occasionally your line goes funny, Mr. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the Wi-Fi's like, but just keep an eye on it.
It might be the heat, actually. It might be the heat tonight.
Right, next comment. Mr. A, hope you guys are well. We are very well. Thank you very much. We're doing good. We're doing good, dog. Right, Mr. M. Mr. AS, send an SAR subject access request to the police you're involved with. They have 1 month to reply and you will get a report. No, much will be redacted from your ex's end, but this may help. Right. Retracted from your ex's end, but this may help. Yes. Right, my solicitor friend has got upset with my comments. So I want to say we're only joking. We're only having a laugh. We're only messing about. Get a sense of humour. I mean, you've got an issue. Here's a tissue.
I will say this to your solicitor friend and any other solicitors who are listening. That she's absolutely is it she? He?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're absolutely right. The court does start in financial matters with the premise that all assets are 50-50 unless somebody decides otherwise. She's absolutely right. We didn't say they weren't. What I was saying was to Mohammed that despite the fact that he had only been in the relationship for 2 years, and unfortunately the fact the mother has now left, he is exposed to a claim. That's what we were saying. We made no reference to how the assets were going to be divided. We merely suggested the fact that there was going to be an opportunity to claim.
Exactly. Hello, Mr. Ryan. Yeah, you went funny again. See, your line went funny again there.
Yeah. I think we're in for a thunderstorm because I've just heard thunder in my end of the country. Anyway, but in terms of subject access requests, they can. I find subject access requests are a bit hit and miss depending on which police force you go to. Some are quite good at it in terms of they'll give you a lot of information. Others are incredibly guarded, and you get very little apart from your own name on a piece of paper. So it really does depend on the police force.
True that. Facts. Let's move along. Right, Mr. Five Star. Good evening, chaps. Hope you are well. We're doing good. We're here. Just want to clarify again, guys. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share. We are here every Sunday, 8 p.m. And just a reminder, since last December, we have been here every Sunday bar one. Every Sunday bar one Sunday, we have been here. So we're here. We're doing it. We're providing the support. Right, Mr. S. Right, it's a new name. How long does an FL 403 form take to be looked at by a judge? Need to have it discharged because of a change in situation. I apply for a non-mol against X, but need to apply to another family court. This is a good question. Technical question.
Okay, technical question. Yeah, an FL 403, which is a form related to non-molestation orders. How long does it take? Well, I mean, you could broaden that question to say how long does any form take in the court? And it's entirely driven by which court you're in, to be perfectly honest. Some are slower or indeed faster than others. The fact that you're looking to have presumably a current non-molestation in place discharge, I assume that's why you've bothered with a 403. It's not something that a judge will do on paper. It's something that they will need to bring into a court. There will need to be a hearing, excuse me, because both sides need to have the opportunity to challenge the position, to either agree with it or disagree with it. So it's an impossible question to answer, really, in terms of how long will it take, because I say it's entirely driven by the court.
Well, it depends also what part of the country you're in. Give us an area or the court name, and you can give you a rough idea, depending on experience of that court. If it's East London Court, mate, Hallam's a piece of string. Any other court, you got a better chance. So yeah, tell us what court it is. Mr. Ryan, your line, like I said, is okay, but every now and then cuts in and out at the worst times. Just when we're getting the right piece of information, it starts blurring. Yeah. So keep your phone on standby just in case we need to jump onto that. Mr. A, really nice work, guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we're here, bro. That's why we're here. We're doing it. We're here and we're doing it. Right, Mr. says, what can I do to get my discharge request FL40 prioritized by the relevant family court? It's causing a delay in my other applications, which are serious and is now an unnecessary life case. What I'm understanding is, when he says by the relevant court, which court did you apply in, and why is that court no longer relevant? That's why I don't understand. Why is that court the wrong court? Or because when you apply, presumably it automatically goes to the relevant court depending on your address. That's how I understood it. So give us more context on that, please. In the meantime, let's carry on. Mr. A, how many financial hearings will the court judges allow the mother to render the hearing ineffective without any consequences? How many financial hearings? Do you understand that question?
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, what is happening here is that the mother or the wife, given that it's financial hearings, is arriving at a hearing and hasn't done something that she needs to do by providing information, and consequently, the hearing cannot go ahead, and so the hearing is rendered ineffective. Judges will tolerate one ineffective hearing. They will struggle to tolerate two, particularly obviously if it's the same person who is causing the issue. So one, they're going to get away with it. Two, they're likely not.
Okay, perfect. All right, this is a good little comeback. Going back to your East London question, wouldn't that house be matrimonialized due to marriage and having a family life? No, Standish versus Standish. That's the point. That's a recent case law that now has removed certain assets that you had prior to the marriage. So if you had your East London house before the marriage, understand this, before the marriage, yeah? Not during, not when you were together. You had this property before the marriage because your mum gave it to you, your dad gave it to you, whatever, yeah? You bought it years ago, had it on rent, no problem. You don't live there. Let's clarify as well. That's not the family house. You live in somewhere else. You live in a rented house. Whatever. You don't live in that house. That house is now ring fenced. Am I correct in saying that?
You are correct in saying that, but also S, up to some degree, is also correct, because there is always a risk. If you've bought a house and you've lived in that house, and then you meet somebody and you bring them into the house, and then you get married and you have children, and then essentially the house becomes the family home, they can make a claim. They need to be the problem they will have is the claim they're making is a beneficial interest claim. So they have to say, well, look, I had an influence on this home. The first question that's going to be asked is, did you pay the mortgage? Well, no. Did you pay any of the bills? Well, no. Okay. Did you contribute anything towards maintenance, wallpaper? No. And each of those no's undermines the claim. So there is some conversation around a house that has been used for a family, but invariably you can remove that claim on the premise that they've made no financial contribution.
Okay, I hope that answers the question. Before we continue, let me just put the email up. This is Mr. Ryan's email, info@mackenziepickup.com. Mr. M, please email him. Let's look into your case. Let's look into your situation. Like I said, every financial hearing, there's a lot of different elements and nuances to it that need to be looked into and covered. So it's not a one-size-fits-all bit of advice. Right, let's move along. Right, we covered that. Mr. M says he shall email. Perfect. Right, Mr. A. Social services have delayed the Section 37 report, which was due 2 weeks ago. They have an extension to submit 3 days before my hearing. Is this either a social service needing more time, B, looking into my allegations, C, lazy?
Okay, to be honest, it could be any of those three. Or could be all of those three. It could be all of them together. If social services have applied for an extension because they need a bit more time to complete their report, that's very, very not unusual. Happens all the time because of their workload. So don't be excited by that. Don't be concerned by that. So it is highly likely that they need more time because they just haven't completed it. There's a tiny possibility that they want extra time because they want to explore in greater depth some elements of it, which might be your allegations. There is also a tiny possibility that they've just not been quite as industrious. I refuse to use the word lazy, but they've not been quite as industrious as they could be.
Right, not my ex-partner. I don't fully know what context, but yes. What's your last question? All right, I don't fully understand what context that's in.
We were talking about matrimonial homes, so don't worry.
Yes.
We've bumped that one.
Right. How many financial court orders and hearings can the mother ignore, not adhere to without any consequences? At least 3 or 4, I would say. Then the judge might really come down on her, but you need to build the evidence. I suppose it depends on the judge as well.
Haven't we just had this question?
No, had this one.
Because we had how many financial hearings will the judge allow the mother to render ineffective without any consequence? Here we are now. How many can the mother ignore? Ignore, you mean not adhere to the directions? That is the same as rendering ineffective. So the question is the same. The answer is the same. The judge will tolerate one. They're very unlikely to tolerate two.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Right, Mr. MCCE, this is a new name. I don't recognize it. Welcome to the channel. We are live here every Sunday, 8 p.m. Here to support you through the system. So tune in, like, subscribe, follow, and share. Right, there's absolutely no rationale to these intentional evils. Stop trying to make it evil sound rational. No idea what you're talking about.
Move on.
Stop trying to make it. No, sorry. Listen, this is why we're here. I like to discuss these. I like to talk about it. This is good. Well, look, either way, tune in, like, subscribe, leave comments. We appreciate good, bad, ugly, positive, negative, whatever it is. We ain't scared. We ain't shying away from no one or any comment. Bring it on. I like it. And like I said, we're not trying to make it sound rational. We just want people to use the system that's in place to get back to their kids. If you have any other ideas or solutions that actually work and that can help us, I'm all ears, brother. And if you can actually manage to get 10 fathers together to actually take action to maybe bring change, let me know. I'll show up, mate, because most fathers, fathers pick, no one shows up, no one's interested, no one cares. So, like I said, we know it's evil, but how do you fight evil? You fight evil with good. They can be evil. We're spreading love and positivity and support. So I accept this evil. That's why I'm here. To fight evil, you need a superhero. That's why I look like this. That's why Mr. Ryan's here. We are modern day superheroes. We are here to fight this evil. So yes, I agree with you, and we are doing something about it. End of. I think that was a good comeback from me. Yes. So yes, if you get any more negative comments, bring them. I'm going to counter these negative comments as they come in. I love it. Right, Mr. K, is a prenup a legal document in the UK? Family court now, so you can protect assets. Now, I think we covered this a little bit last week, but just touch on it again, Mr. Ryan. There's a lot of confusion around this.
There is a lot of confusion around prenups because prenups are very common in the US, particularly in the United States. They're very common. In the UK, less so, but becoming more common. A prenup, providing it is properly drawn up by legal professionals, witnessed by legal professionals, and both sides have had the opportunity to seek independent legal advice, a prenup is accepted in the family court. Now, I will say this, and look out, I'm about to become contentious. Mm-hmm. I was watching a short came up the other day from somebody else on social media who talks about a solicitor who talks about family law, and that's fine. There are lots of us doing it. And she made a comment that prenups are not legal in UK court. And that was her stance. They are not legal. And I'm sorry, but I totally disagree with that comment.
Okay, we're going to have, I think, some point in the future, myself and Mr. Ryan and on both of our channels combined or individually really garner some traction. We might have a one-to-one challenge with these other legal lawyers and other Mackenzies, and we could challenge these ideas live eventually in the future. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. But this is good. Right, Mr. A again, similar question. What consequence can the court judge apply in case mother repeatedly ignores court orders? What judge can do is ultimately he can hand out a prison sentence, he can give her a fine, he can give her community service, and he can also give, ideally, for a lot of cases for fathers, and it's happened in some cases, change of residency. In theory, in textbook, on paper, all of these things are possible. How often do they happen? How often does the judge actually throw the book? Very rare. Mother really has to push it continuously, but I think that's what it is. But the key is father has to remain patient, keep filling in the enforcement order, keep applying, collect the evidence, and has to keep chipping away with a cool head. That's the point. And do you want to add to that, Mr. Ryan? Or was that sufficient enough?
That is exactly where we are. That is exactly where we are. The judge does have all those measures available to him, but to be perfectly honest, it's very rare they apply any of them.
Yeah, unfortunately. Right, Mr. If someone is not married, then does the sharing of assets do not start at 50-50, even if cohabiting? See, this is where there's a lot of, I think, confusion around. If you're not married, then the question is this: do you have kids? I think the key is if you're not married, and let's say the sharing of assets, also who contributed what, you got to look at all these factors. Did you have this property before you started cohabiting? And if there's no name on the deeds, there's no contribution, it'd be very difficult, I think, for that person to try and go for the house, especially if you ain't got kids either. Then you can't do the old Pilato route either. But what do you think?
Yeah, cohabiting does make life. Marriage makes life pretty easy in family court. There is a very simple: if you're married, by general rule, stuff's going to get divided up. Cohabiting, it's not quite as straightforward. And if you've been cohabiting in a house that you do not own, because the other partner owns it, you are going to have a bit of a challenge in family court to convince the court that you should have some of that house. So it's not quite as straightforward. Assets don't, well, the basis of 50-50 stays the same, but the assets that are in the 50-50 don't necessarily. So there's a bit more justification required where people are cohabiting, particularly the person obviously who doesn't own the asset. And obviously usually in cohabiting, the house is the big issue, or the flat or the property, whatever it might be. There has to be a significant degree of justification as to why you should have any interest in a property that you do not own, you have not paid for, you have not contributed to financially. You have a challenge.
Yeah, listen, guys, marriage, civil registry is a dangerous business. Stay away from it. Right, Mr. S, here we go. We've got more context. I applied for the non-mol initially earlier this year, but then had a change in living situation. It wasn't granted without notice, and I did not pursue it further. The court is in Bromley.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna do a bit of second guessing now. So you made an application for a non-molestation. You applied on what we call an ex-parte basis, i.e., without telling the other side that you were doing it. It wasn't granted, which means currently there is no non-molestation, and you didn't pursue it any further. So I'm wondering why you're bothering doing an FL 403, which is an application to discharge a non-molestation, given that from what you've just told me, you haven't got one.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Look, Mr. S, we need more context. Please give us some more context so we can shine some light on the situation. Right, Mr. S, are you able to share how things were 10 years ago? Because it feels like the system so against fathers at the moment. Is this the worst moment? I would say, personally, I think 10, 15, 20 years ago, I think it was worse because I'll say this. There was less space for men to go, less things, there was less support groups for men. There was no disqualified dads. I mean, I don't think people were aware of Mackenzie's. I think how long have Mackenzie been around as far as the family court game, Mr. Ryan?
50 years.
50 years, but how long since they've been in the mainstream where like everyone knows about it? To me, it seems like everyone knows about it or are aware of it a lot more now.
Yeah, I'd probably say in the last 10 years, people have become more aware.
Yeah, so I would say the answer to this question is look, as bad as you say things are, I think things were worse before because right now you could go on a stream like this and get this information and knowledge, just blunt, raw, practical, tangible steps. It covers all aspects of it where you know what the situation is, you understand the terminology. 10 years ago, you couldn't get on a live stream and get knowledge like this straight out without going to a lawyer who scares you and fleeces you for thousands. So I think the situation is better because there's more awareness. Me and Mr. Ryan have taken this upon ourselves to make this all public knowledge. And this is years of work right here, years of work in the making. And by next year, myself and Mr. Ryan, like I said, will be garnering a lot more traction and attention. And this information is going to be a lot more widely available. And I will take this opportunity to remind you guys Family Court Mastery, we're putting courses out there to cover the whole system. So a person can go, represent themselves all the way through. We provide weekly calls, information, knowledge, and we help support you through your case all the way without it breaking the bank ultimately. So these things weren't available 10 years ago. So we're changing the game, we're getting it out there, and amongst all of that, there's a lot of fathers groups that are there to provide support, help each other, give information. So look, things are better than they were, I think. Mr. Ryan, want to add anything to that?
I agree with you in terms of the awareness. I think the awareness, but I think in terms of, and I think the comment that I was making last week that possibly S is picking up on. I was talking last week about the fact that fathers were currently, my view is that fathers are not being, as a general sweeping statement, they're not being well treated by the family court. And for a period of time, there was a degree of fairness, a degree of equality. And 10 years ago, it was not great. Then it started to get better for a while, for whatever reason. And then I think I felt, as did a lot of professionals alongside me, that it was becoming quite fair in the family court. But certainly over the last 12, 18 months, maybe 2 years, I have seen a change of attitude. And I don't know where it's come from, and I don't know what it's attributable to. But there is a change in attitude, and I think fathers are back to being fairly poorly treated, as a general rule, by the family court. Is this the worst it's ever been? It's the worst it is currently. Was it this bad 10 years ago? Well, 10 years ago, there was a different set of circumstances in the world. We were living in a different place because the world is moving so fast that the circumstances and the environment changes almost daily. So at the time, it felt pretty unfair for dads. Right now, it feels pretty unfair for dads.
Yep. And before we continue, I just want to ask a question, Mr. Ryan. We have a lawyer who has pulled up on a couple of points. And if that lawyer is watching, we're not talking about you. It's not personal. This is not a personal thing. We're not going to make fun. We're just going to challenge these ideas because this is what happens. We get loads of different, contrasting ideas. Now, what this lawyer person has said, re the prenup being legal, they aren't legal, no precedence on them, and cohabiting to 50-50 or cohabiting will automatically put you in a 50-50 situation. Now, hold on, and she said protected if you have declaration, deed of trust plus beneficial interest. So let's just tackle the first one. They ain't legal, prenups are not legal, and there's no precedence on them, this lawyer reckons.
Okay, I disagree. Providing the prenup is prepared appropriately, and both sides have been given independent advice, and both sides have had the document witnessed, and both sides have had the document notarized by solicitors. That is a perfectly valid standing document that a court will recognise. That is my view. I've had it in cases where prenups have been recognised. I accept her point that as a general rule, they are not recognised by the court purely because the content of them and the formatting of them is so poor. But if you do it right,
if it's written properly. So the key is if it's done properly and professionally as a document, not just a random piece of paper.
It is a perfectly valid document.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. There is the textbook application of the law, and there's the practical experience elements of the family court that we know. Many have walked this path. We've been in and out. Mr. Ryan's been doing this for almost 2 decades. We've been in and out of court. And as when you say, look at the contrasting advice you can get. And this is what I'm saying to people. You need to be very careful where you get your advice. You see the polar opposite. Again, cohabiting into 50-50. I know on paper that's what it says, yeah. But in the courts, when it actually happens, it's a different beast. In practice, it's a different beast. Even this whole saying of when you divorce, let's say you are married and you go into court, starting position is 50-50. I don't know many fathers, I don't know many that have actually walked away with 50-50. Listen, I know guys that have walked away with like 75-25, yeah, 80-20. So on a practical level, it's a different beast. So when people say all of these things, it's one thing. Practice is another. So, and for those of you who are out there getting advice, listen, guys, you need to be careful who you listen to. Again, one of the commandments of family court, one of those 10 commandments are trust no one. My policy is trust no one. That has served me and that has served many very well. Stick to those rules. Right, Mr. S. If you have been married for 10 years, but only bought the house 8 years later and divorced 1 year later, would the claim not be 50-50? I suppose that would be, because that's part of matrimonial assets. Yeah.
I was saying you've bought the house within the marriage.
Yeah, this is what we're saying, Mr. S. It's what you bought before the marriage, not in the marriage. And if you've been married for 10 years. Yeah, and if you bought the house 8 years later, that's exactly, man. That's well within flipping it. That's like well within the marriage. Yeah, so the answer is yes, it would be. Right, Mr. A, do CAFCAS automatically recognise parental alienation, or does it have to be specifically requested by the NRP? Again, I think when you said it automatically recognise parental, no, they don't. Not automatically, not manually, not directly. They don't recognise it. Anyhow, it's in very special circumstances when you bring this up to them in a very strategic way that they may recognize it. It depends on all the nuances of your case. This is not a black and white answer. It's not a black and white situation. It depends on the nuances of your case, your caseworker, your CAFCAS officer, your situation and scenario. Unfortunately, CAFCAS, family courts, all of that, they don't like it. It's a swear word. They don't want to really. Parental alienation is not even recognized at the moment. It's not really even recognized in the system as such. Unfortunately, because I think it will turn the whole thing on its head. So I think you'd have to request it, or you'd have to make your case as to why, what evidence, and I think you'd have to tread carefully.
Yes, it's a very difficult, sensitive subject. Parental alienation is not something that the family court is particularly comfortable with. It's got better, but it's still very reluctant to want to engage in parental alienation. It's organised its own set of guidelines now, which came out in December, but it's a kind of so what. So no, it's an area that the court is uncomfortable with, and parties who raise parental alienation as an issue have to work hard to get CAFCAS to engage with it.
Yeah, it's not black and white, my friend. Not black and white. Right. In terms of course, in terms of course granting non-contact.
Well, yeah, we were talking about the whole 10 years ago were we getting more contact than now? So I've jumped ahead on that. I saw that comment already. So.
Oh, you've seen it. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I like that. There's one less to deal with. Perfect. Mr. C, good to see you. Evening, gents. If you have children living with a half sibling from another father, which has been kept quiet since birth, i.e., they are not aware of this, when and how should this come to light? Bloody hell.
Let me just read that again. If you have children, so your children living with a half sibling from another father, which has been kept quiet since birth, i.e., that they are not aware of it, i.e., the children aren't aware that their brother or sister has a different dad. I assume that's what we're saying here. How and when should this come to light? It's always a difficult one. It's a difficult point in a child's life when they have to be, well, if they have to be told that their dad is different to your dad or my dad. It's a difficult one. It's kind of driven by whether all the fathers are involved in the children's lives, because obviously that will drive the conversation. If one child is getting picked up at the weekend by one dad and one's being picked up by another, that kind of drives the conversation. Outside of that, do children need to know that they have different dads? Yes, I believe they do. I believe we need to be brutally honest with our children, but with massive sensitivity. So how and when should that come to light? I don't think there's a golden rule for that. I think it's driven by the unique circumstances in each family when it's appropriate to have that conversation. But what I will say is that conversation should never be a knee-jerk reaction to something that has happened that you don't like. That piece of information should not be thrown across the room in order to win a point or win an argument. That is a very sensitive conversation to have with a child. Have it at the right time.
Yeah, I think possibly is what we covered earlier. You got to look at what is it to be gained out of this. So I think you got to just look out for your kid, your child, your son or daughter, and see how this will affect them ultimately. I understand these games sometimes are difficult to deal with, the games that the other side are playing and all the manipulation and the lies and the deceit. But what is the end goal? What do you get out of this? How will it benefit your child? I think just go from that aspect. Look out for your child. How will this help my child? How will this affect my child? That's what you need to think about. Right, Mr. D. Mr. Rice, solicitor said be wary of Mackenzie friends' advice as they are not legally trained. Though I understand what they are saying, I think they're ignoring the positive affordable work you do. Absolutely. Look, let me ask you a question, Mr. DJ. When you don't know something, when you don't know something, it all seems very scary. It's called a white coat syndrome. You go in there, if they're the professional, they tell you all of this. Oh, you got an on-moral, you need to be really careful. Barristers, let's go for your first hearing. Oh, by the way, this cost you $5,000. You're shit scared, you're anxious, you're nervous, you ain't seen your kids, you're all over the place. Your emotions are high, you're a nervous wreck. You pay $5,000 because you think someone's going to take this away. You go to the first hearing, your non-moral hearing, they've sold you the barrister, they said you need him, you need the whole team behind you, blah, blah, blah. It's cost you $5,000. Judge says, what's your name? What are the party's name? What's the other parties? How many kids? Where are we? No problem. All right, come back in 4 weeks. That's just cost you $5,000. That's the easiest money they're going to earn. When you strip it back, the C100 form, right? Yeah, so let's talk about this. Legally trained professional solicitor fills out a C100 with a C1A attached. What information do they put on there? Name, address, children, any abuse, any other specific circumstances, right? I'm not being funny. They ask you for all of this information that they then put on this form and you're paying for it. Why can't you put this information on the form yourself? When you strip it back and look into it, nothing is that complicated. It's just what is unknown and unfamiliar is scary. When you strip it back a little bit, you go onto my channel, you look into some of this stuff, you can do it. Where, you know what? I sometimes think to myself, how many people have we helped save thousands just for this information we're putting out? I ain't getting paid. We ain't getting paid for this. Are you getting paid for tonight, Mr. Right? Is someone sending you money? Are you getting a paycheck out of this? YouTube ain't giving me nothing, man. They give me like $10 measly dollars if I'm lucky a month. At best, right now, yeah. $10, right? Yeah. We ain't getting paid for this, but this information we are putting out there for anyone to use and have and help, and it's saving you thousands. When solicitors say all this, be wary, they're not legally trained. They're full of shit, man. What do you need to know? How to fill out C100, C1A, really? Come on, man. Right, Mr. K, I recognise the name. Good evening, gents. What if on the deeds it's 50-50, but I put full deposit down and did all the work in the house? So it's on the deeds. I hate to say it. I think it's what's in black and white, you can't fight. Simple. What's in black and white is very difficult to fight. That's all I'm going to say.
There we go. Deposits, I'll say very quickly, deposits are difficult. The court really struggles with deposits because they say that you've both had the benefit of the house, you've both had the benefit of, having happy times in the house, we presume. Consequently, the value of the deposit kind of diminishes over time. So it's a difficult argument to run.
But, Cal, this is what I'm going to say to you. Remember the 10 commandments of family court. Trust no one. If you feel you can fight, I would say still fight. Still stand your ground. Still put the evidence. The judge, look, the whole deposit was mine. The deposit that I earned before we got together, whatever angle you have, you still put it. You still use it. You still fight. You still move forward. You just never know. Sometimes you get lucky. You get a decent judge who will sympathize with your situation. We're just telling you how it looks on paper. By what you have asked, doesn't look great, but this should not deter you. Still put your best foot forward and still stand your ground and fight your position. You just never know. The stars might align, the universe, the planets might align in your favor. You got to roll the dice. You got to be ready to fight. Yeah. So go out there and do that. Yeah. Again, what have I said? Trust no one. Don't even trust us. Go and verify what you've heard from us. That's what I'll say. One of the rules of family court. Right, Mr. C, DGS. Simple case of greed. Nothing more, nothing less. They want your dollars, pounds, but no duty of care to children. Good Mackenzies always remain child focused and are the best bet by far. Yes, let me put this in context again, guys. Yeah, I really want to put this in context. Yeah, even with your Mackenzies, please do your research. Check what they're about. If you're not happy with something, ask. Do not take any answer anyone gives you. If you're not happy, you question, why are we doing this? What are we to gain out? Remember this. What are we to gain out of this? Where will we end up if we do this? How will this strengthen our position? Even your Mackenzie, ask, ask, ask. Do not settle. Do not get fed an answer. If you're not happy, ask the question until you are satisfied. Vet them properly, check their background, try and find people who have used them before. Don't just go for it. Have they got an office? Have they got an email? Have they got a website? Do they have staff? Yeah. One thing with all Mackenzies, they're hard to get hold of. I get it. The communication is difficult because they're inundated. But beyond that, do they have an office address? Do they have an email? Or is he just some guy working from home? You need to just try and do a bit of research, guys. Yeah. Do not just take like I said, rule number one, trust no one. Once you enter the system, rule number one is trust no one. So Mackenzie, and let me talk about the value for money. If you go to a solicitor barrister, your case will cost 15 to 20 grand upwards towards 50 grand. Now, if it's like, depending on the complications and how many allegations and abuse and fact finds and all of this, but it could go from 15 to 50 grand. A good Mackenzie on board, 3 to 4 hearings. You see, you've got some allegations in there, little fact find, section 7, blah, blah, blah. 5-6K you could get away with potentially, yeah. 5-6K, 40K, 5-6K, 20K, 5-6K, 50K. Obviously, I'm not saying that's a fixed figure, but my point is marginal. It is fractional compared to what you pay a solicitor barrister, and the solicitor barrister's outcome. That money will not guarantee you the outcome. This is what I'm trying to say to you. And when Family Court Mastery comes out, with the support that we're going to give, alongside that course, the support we give, I'm saying this is going to be the best value for money product on the market to get you the firepower that you need of the information and knowledge, and to get you the best chance of seeing your kids. And whatever the end outcome is, at least you won't be 40-50 grand down. That's the added bonus that we're giving you. We can't guarantee the outcome. We can give you the information, knowledge, and the guidance. Yeah. No one can guarantee the outcome. It doesn't matter, you might have the best barrister in the country. No one can guarantee the outcome. So just remember, people have this association of, I spend this money, I see my children. It ain't guaranteed, guys. Hence, Mackenzie is your best option. And if you're well articulated, you're an intellectual person, you don't have to read, you don't have to prepare a document. You can potentially do the whole thing yourself with a bit of guidance. So listen, don't be scared from it. Don't be, do not be put off. Miss Oksana Noreen. Right, we have a lady. Miss R. You gain a beneficial interest in a property.
Yes. I agree with that comment. What Roxana is saying to us is that when you move into a property, there is an argument for beneficial interest. So whilst you may not have bought it in the first instance, you do have a claim. You've got to justify that claim. You do have a claim in the family court to say that you have a degree of ownership referred to as beneficial interest in a property. So yeah, Roxana's right, and welcome to the stream, Roxana.
Yes, welcome to the stream, Roxana. Thank you for pointing that out. That just reminded me, I ain't moving no bird into my place. I ain't got a place. Courts are listening, I ain't got nothing. The courts have rendered me with nothing. Yeah, I'm just a man trying to survive ultimately. But I ain't moving no bird in. It's as simple as in beneficial interest, you having a laugh. Let's move along. Right, Mr. Cow. She said she's entitled to 50-50 because she paid towards mortgage and that's what it says on paper. But it don't seem fair if I added about 70k value on the property that she's going to benefit from. Again, Cal, the problem is it's in black and white. Yeah, it's on the deeds, right? Now, if you've got the receipts, the deposit, the money that you paid, if you borrowed that money of someone, you've got the transactions and what demonstrate that you borrowed this money, it was your money, you've put yourself out. Present this. That's all you can do. Go there and present all of this and judge this ain't fair, this ain't right, because I did this, and this. Let's see what happens. It's a difficult role, but you might as well give it everything you got. That's my point. Strategically, just give it everything you got. That's all I can say. Go in there, put every single thing you can down. Mr. Ryan?
Yes, exactly that. Well, when you say that her position is that she's paid towards the mortgage, has she physically paid towards it? Has she put money on the table? If so, then she's got a claim. If she hasn't, if she's on the mortgage, obviously, as because it's a joint mortgage, but you can demonstrate that she's never made a single payment towards it, whilst she still has a claim. Let's not kid ourselves. But you have some argument for allowing that claim to be perhaps a little bit more equitable if you're demonstrating that, look, I've put all the money in, I've paid every penny on this property. The court will recognise that argument and
yes.
take some merit from it.
Yes, so put that forward. That's what I highlight. When you say she paid towards the mortgage, did she give you a bit of cash? Is there a transaction? Did she pay directly from her account into the mortgage account? This is where we need to get the details. That's the fact. If there's no direct payment from her account to the mortgage account, then who's to say she's paid? She might transfer you some cash into your account, but I don't. Unless it's registered mortgage payment or there's some trace, you've got more clout. Strengthens your position. But yes, present all of this. Get the little nitty-gritty details. Present all of this. If you want more information and advice, email Mr. Ryan at info@mackenziepicav.com and maybe we can discuss your case in a little bit more detail. Like I said, it's hard to cover everything on the stream. Right, listen, guys, I just noticed it's 1 hour 23 minutes. There's last 3 comments. Let's quickly get through these.
Blast Mr. through D. These, close out.
Yeah, we close out. I just noticed the time. I'm getting carried away. Mr. D, I have very much appreciated the work and advice that you and Mr. Ryan have given since following both of your work since early 2024. Listen, man, this is an old-time follower. I love it. Thank you, Mr. DG. Yes, and this is why we're here. We're here supporting you guys. Thank you for the comments, Mr. D. I appreciate that. Right, Mr. J. Dad, the courts are focused on perceived short-term risks to the mother. To be child-focused, they should make the solicitors advocate for a child regardless of which parent employed them. I like that. Yes, I agree. In a perfect world, Mr. J, yes, we would love that. But unfortunately, there's no money in that. The solicitors, they all solicitors, they're not all bad, I presume, yeah. But there ain't no money in that, bro. Family court makes a lot of money. Remember, it generates a lot of wealth. Right, Mr. DGS, I'm sure the courts, and I would like to think that solicitors acknowledge why Mackenzie Friends exists and the services they provide to give people knowledge for the courts that would otherwise be missing. Exactly. Mr. Cow, I paid in full. She sent me a bit here and there toward. I like that. Cheers. It was just from my account. Perfect. Cal, your position strengthened straight away. This is the nitty gritty that you need to look at. Present all of this to the judge and say, Judge, she sent me some money for a bit of food, a few bills here and there, but it's not towards a property, not towards a mortgage. This will potentially strengthen your position. So get all of this information together. Print out all the statements, highlight it, bang, 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 bang. Present all of this, yeah? And going with a positive mindset, believe you can do this. Right, Mr. C, beneficial interest, what a term. All those stepdads who've invested time raising. Right, let's slow down here. Beneficial interest, what a term. All those stepdads who've invested time raising time in kids that have no PR, no parental responsibility, have it pulled in an instant, no beneficial interest being extended. And then, yes, I see what you mean. That is tough. That is tough. That is a.
He's absolutely right. The step parent role is a vulnerable role in the family court.
Yes.
A very vulnerable role because you are often overlooked, and your contribution, be you stepdad or indeed stepmom, but your contribution is often overlooked and certainly undervalued.
Yeah, listen, guys. Also, I think personally, look from what I've seen and what I know, the step parent role is a thankless job, man. I mean, you could do all sorts for that kid, yeah. One bad day, one bad argument, one little bit of discipline here and there, you're probably going to be number one. Everything you did could be washed away just like it is a difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat this and live happily ever after and all of it. Listen, guys, the step parent role, the blended family is a lot more complex than people believe it is. But it's not live happily ever after. It ain't that simple, yeah. And also, I just want to put it out there. Even with my own kids, I would not expect anyone else to. When I get my kids full time, right, when I become resident parent, I would not expect any new partner, anyone to become a step parent. Yeah, if they want to help me and support me, great, but I wouldn't put it on them, and I don't expect anything from them, and I would not put that responsibility or pressure on them. It's not their kids, it's not their problem. I believe that, and if it was to help you and contribute, great, but guys, like I said, it ain't a fairy tale. On that note, look, we've gone for 1 hour 7 minutes exactly. Mr. Ryan, do you have any final closing comments? It's been a great stream. I've really enjoyed it myself, thoroughly enjoyed it. I love doing this, guys. This year, I'm going to get back to work on my proper studio here. I'm going to try and get to work on it. I really want to push it along. I want to put these streams and push these streams and podcasts along. Mr. Ryan is attending other podcasts. I'm going to be trying to attend myself to other podcasts and stuff to talk about this, to try and get the message out there. So yes, we're going to keep doing this. Mr. Ryan, any closing comments?
Yeah, good stream. Thanks to everybody who attended, and obviously particular thanks. And I'm not singling her out, but particular thanks to Roxana for joining us this evening, because I appreciate that this stream is possibly perceived as just all dads. So I appreciate her attending, and also thanks to the solicitor who's obviously joined us via your phone this evening. That's been useful. I think it's important that we have alternative opinions, because the family law court, whilst it's based fundamentally on procedure and process, it is also based on interpretation of the law. And people will interpret the law in different ways. And so it's valuable to get the perspective of a solicitor, just as it's valuable to get a perspective of a Mackenzie Friend, just as it's valuable to get the perspective of just not just but of a litigant in person who's involved in it and embroiled in it. Or everybody has an opinion. It is an unfortunate environment that we all find ourselves in. Have a good week.
Yes, and before we go to the solicitor that contributed their input into the stream, what I'll do is at some point I'll try and bring them on live with us, where we can throw these ideas back and forth and counter I think that might be beneficial to see if we can then align on the same page, because sometimes I think things can be taken out of context or misunderstood. When we start talking in legal terms back and forth, it might make more sense, and it'd be good to get the variation out. So I'm going to try and get this solicitor on. And yes, thank you was it Miss Noreen for joining the stream.
Yep.
We appreciate you. Thank you. We appreciate a female voice as well. So guys, everyone, like, subscribe, follow and share. This was episode 53 on Disqualified Dads. We will see you on the next one.
See you guys.